Why do you tinker like you need it to survive? You wake up Sunday morning, your lineup's just fine. You benched Josh Allen and went with Cam Newton. Then look at what happened, you ended up losing. Why do you tinker like you need it to survive? The People's Pod.
That was a nice little bottle open you had. And speaking of nice, that was another phenomenal yet oddly specific jingle by Curtis for this week.
Shout out to Curtis Warden. Got the skills.
Yes, and as tinkering is a tried and true philosophy in this league, very topical. So, hey, we got the People's Pod again. Collin and Brad. Weaver is still in his work hiatus up in the north. And so today, you'll have both of us. So, how was your weekend, Brad?
Your boy is back. Great weekend. I had Thursday, Friday off from work due to a Met sales goal. And I watched one of the most epic baseball games of my life. And then, very exciting, relatively It was a good time.
Awesome. Yeah, so to give some quick life updates, or I guess revisit some life updates. First of all, Stu, you're very complimentary on your champion pod of us, so thank you so much. You were complimentary on the saxophone lessons that I claimed to be giving. That was complete BS. I was just trying to be funny and sarcastic, but it seemed like you took it hook, line, and sinker, so just to clear the air. No lessons are being given at this time.
I haven't seen Collin play the saxophone in a coon's age.
I do remember the fingerings, but that's about it. I also did like, Stu, how you commented on hoping to get the whole squad here, Weave, Brad, and myself involved in a podcast, but I do think that may turn into more of a Joe Rogan experience length-esque thing, and as we all joke about the network, might be a little dodgy.
We'll need a couple sponsors, maybe need a video guy to pull up random YouTube videos.
Yeah, so to review some action from the last week, Adam and I made the trade. Him and I, we actually were texting back and forth for hours on Thursday. Now, there was a time cap for it because Adam was going to play Judy on Denver if the trade did not go through. Because he was training for DJ Moore. So we were literally texting like right up until 5 p.m. on Thursday, and the trade went through. He sent me Darrell Henderson and Marvin Jones. I sent him DJ Moore and Mr. Mike Gesicki. Fast forward, and the whole thing was a crock of shit because Henderson, who had a phenomenal matchup with the Giants, ended up getting me 4.3 points. Marvin Jones gets 1.4 on my bench. DJ Moore, who actually scored the most out of the entire group, only got 6.9 against the Cardinals.
69.
Nice. I think he had 4 catches. And then Gesicki, who actually also had a plus matchup, and I still believe is a very talented tight end, only put up 2 points. So trade went through. I was, super anxious about it just because, as we all are, trades are kind of few and far between and hard to come by. And you invest in these guys, and you obviously are suspicious of every other league member.
Of course.
But apparently Adam was having an even more thrilling time on Thursday because not only was he talking to me, but he was talking to like 4 or 5 other team members and evaluating so many other deals that all ultimately didn't culminate like ours did. So Adam was he was putting in the work to get that trade. So
where was my text, buckaroo? I got nothing. So from my perspective, Thursday, Collin and I are working at the table. He's saying I'm in deep talks with Adam. A lot of hand wringing, a lot of should I do this, should I do that? I'm just like, go for it, dude. That sounds good. Oh, okay, yeah, don't go for it. Giving him absolutely no pointers to avoid the old C word, collusion. But yeah, that was it was a good time, and it really came down like 5:10 p.m. You were still, I'm not sure. Then it got done.
Yeah, I really, it was like a coin toss for me at the end there. I was so close to like just busting up the whole deal and not doing it, and I was trying to shake things up. DJ Moore hadn't been performing for me. he had one good game, but otherwise, I mean, watching the Panthers, Robbie Anderson is so involved. It doesn't seem like DJ Moore is getting the volume that I had drafted him to get. And it's like, fuck it, this is an 8th year of this league, and I haven't won yet. And so to spice things up and make it a little more exciting, decided to pull the trigger. Now, it was a big bust for everyone involved through 1 week, so we'll see what happens. But that was that. So yeah, I hope more trades happen. I know I've been texting a few people since then. But yeah, so moving on, this last week we had a lot of what I like to call COVID chaos in the league. So obviously the Titans and the Steelers were postponed, which culminated in all of us discussing what exactly we should do, if we should get extra moves or extra slots in the IR, or yada, yada, yada. And then Cam Newton gets the virus.
Scam!
Clam! So then he's out, and so all of a sudden the Patriots-Chiefs game is in jeopardy, and so now we're just knee-deep in this like hailstorm of what the hell do we do. Definitely shout out to Max. He did say, I want to talk about this early into the week, so as we're not talking about it on Saturday and Sunday. Fast forward to Saturday, I'm sitting on the beach as this discussion is ramping up, and at this time, Cam Newton had been diagnosed with COVID. He's put on the list. I had already made a move for Gostkowski on the Titans earlier in the week and paid money for him. And then he ended up being ineligible or on his bye, right? And so I basically burned a move and $3 of my fab budget, which I was like fine with. But what I put in the group me last night is Joe Mixon popped up on the injury report on Friday. And by then I had used all my moves because Calvin Ridley was also on the injury report before that, so I had to pick up a backup for him. I had picked up a defense, so that was 4 moves right there. And then all of a sudden, I basically burned a move and the money, and my running back was questionable to play, and his backup was on the waiver wire. So that's why I was so hot and heavy on Saturday. And yeah, I apologize for kind of throwing my 2 cents into the ring at like the 11th hour.
That's all right.
But
nobody knows what to do. We're making up as we go. I thought it was a good discussion. I'm glad it worked out okay. The game went off. There's still the Tennessee situation.
Right.
Also got resolved.
And so you and I actually had spoken about what the league had agreed upon during draft weekend in the event that your COVID players
That's right.
had COVID, right? So that's why we had that second IR slot. And in order for someone to be in that second IR slot, they have to have the COVID designation. So, for instance, if we were to review a random selection of teams, if we go to Adam's team, Rent Tent Bents, he is currently, and this is Tuesday night, using both his IR slots, but one of those players has the COVID designation. Whereas another team, Max's team, is using both the IR slots. Neither of these players has a COVID designation. So I understand that Max was hypothetically the most heavily affected, hypothetically, because of the Steelers, Titans, and Chiefs Patriots. So we were, as a league, happy to allow him to use that extra spot. However, the Chiefs game did happen. And now he is using both slots for 2 players that do not have a COVID designation.
I see.
So as what we had agreed upon during draft weekend, this would not fly.
I tried to do this on Sunday myself. And you informed me as I was doing it, this was not in the bylaws of the league. Now I'm all for, shadow government and is this legal, pontification.
Yes.
But I understand. This visual aid is actually quite helpful.
You used a lot of asked for forgiveness, not permission, and I was vehemently against that.
The fact that you were even there to tell me, probably, I was like, all right, fine. The fact that you're right next to me as this is happening.
So, yeah, Max took the L, unfortunate for him, but as what we discussed on draft weekend, that would be misuse of that second IR spot. And then finally, shout out Eddie Van Halen. He goes down today,
Right.
age 65. The U, we talked about a little bit on G-Chat, just how amazing a guitarist he was. I immediately changed what I was listening to on Spotify to Van Halen 1. And awesome album. You can actually get through it in under an hour, but phenomenal songs.
Starts off with Running with the Devil. That's a classic. Yeah, Eddie Van Halen, R.I.P., man. You're a fucking legend. Yeah, we were talking about some of our favorite songs. Van Halen 1, Van Halen 2, classics. 1984, the great album.
Yeah.
Also today, I heard on NPR, driving over here, Johnny Nash passed away, who sang I Can See Clearly Now the Rain Has Gone in the 70s. One of the first white reggae artists. So R.I.P. to him, too. But yeah, man, these musical legends are going down. I mean, in their 80s, thankfully, but...
I actually have kind of a PTSD memory for that song.
Do you actually?
Yeah.
Please share.
I can't remember who I've told this story to, but we're going to take a jog down memory lane when little Collin is a freshman in high school. And this is before my growth spurt, so I'm probably clocking in at 5'7". Actually, no. This is probably, excuse me, this is probably like 5'4"-ish, maybe, yeah. And trying out for the freshman baseball team, Poway High, super competitive squad, # Go Titans. Alex Dickerson on the Giants played on that team. So tryouts, I was actually on vacation for the first round of tryouts. I was constantly calling back and forth with the freshman coach, hey, I'm going to be gone, but I want to try out. And he was super nice and amenable. And then I show up, I'm wearing my community ball jersey and it's untucked, and he tells me hey, tuck your shirt in. So I'm tucking in my shirt. And I get one at bat. He's pitching. He throws some stuff with some English on it. And I strike out in 3 pitches. I take some ground balls at second base. Fine, right. And then fast forward a week, and it actually had been raining in Poway between the time of that tryout and the time of the first roster release. And this is also back when people were adding music to their websites, and so you go to this website. It wasn't MySpace, but it was the team's website, and they had that song, I Can See Clearly Now the Rain Is Gone, and a list of all the freshman boys that would be moving on in the tryouts.
Oh, no.
And there was no Collin Gall on that list.
Oh, man. So now that song just reminds you of...
That's the far away gaze.
Youth.
Right? Yeah.
Small... Can't really hit for contact. Minus arm.
And and that's when I dove headfirst into marching band after that.
Changed the course of history.
But interesting. So anyway, moving on to picks. Week 3, Collin went 4-2. Week 4, going over our picks. Actually, we can just go game by game. So we'll start with my own game. I chose myself over Adam. Brad, you actually chose Adam over me, and Stu also chose myself over Adam. So quick hits from this matchup.
Oh, Adam. Good God.
Josh Allen does Josh Allen things. Good game. Calvin Ridley, we can touch on it. I was going to mention him last, but he was questionable. That's why I picked up Mr. Zakis or whatever the fuck how you can say his name.
I didn't even know that.
Zacchaeus.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I picked him up. Everyone's like, who the fuck is that guy? Well, 8 receptions and 86 yards later.
Louise.
That's who that guy is.
On your bench, buckaroo.
Ridley puts up a goose egg on 5 targets. Him and Julio were battling injuries. Julio left before half or at half. Ridley gets 0 catches. So thankfully I didn't need him, but also super bummer because I was in the running for the money, and then O'Malley just easily won it. And then sends me the sup comment in the group me.
Brutal.
And then, Joe Mixon goes off. This is, return of Joe Mixon. It is return of Joe Mixon.
Oh, my God.
He puts up more points in one game than he had combined in the first 3 games. 3 touchdowns, 151 rushing yards. This is the guy I drafted, right? Over on Adam's side, he picked up Fitzmagic in place of Big Ben because of that.
Nice job.
Postponed game, puts up 20 points. Nice. Devontae Adams does not play, which was questionable going into the weekend. And I think once the point gap was so big and I had Ridley and Hurst going on Monday, Adam didn't even bother to make another move. It's kind of funny because this is akin to Scott Nova move and starting a player that wasn't going to play, but slightly different circumstances. And then Melvin Gordon. So it's pretty funny. Melvin Gordon was on the block between Adam and I when we were talking about the trade. It was Henderson or Gordon, and then fill-in wide receiver for me. And I chose Henderson because I felt like, and I do believe the Rams are a better team. And Henderson was playing the Giants, and he came off back-to-back high double-digit games, or almost 20. And then Melvin Gordon immediately goes out and scores 25 points on me because the Jets cannot play defense. So there was some hand-wringing after that.
Yes.
But, yeah, Gall gets the W there. Next, we'll go to PB Lee versus We Demand a Chubbery. I chose Evan in this one incorrectly. You also chose Evan, and Stu also chose Evan. So we all picked against Pebs, and now Pebs is on a 2-game win streak. So what do you think about this one?
Well, Mahomes is still good. That's what I think. Curious how Evan's team is going to do this next week without Jones, who's been his most consistent performer by far. PV Lee got a lot of production out of his wide receivers, including S. Miller on Tampa Bay, whoever that is. But yeah, 14.2, 10, 16.8, and then Cup in the flex, 16.2. That's solid. I would want that every single week. Mediocre tight end play continues. But yeah, man, 127. I would have won my matchup with 127. We all got this one wrong, which is a real bummer. And they both, I guess Peebly got over projection, but Ev did not come close, 20 points under.
Right. Well, yeah, Evan kind of got fucked in this one because even though Amari Cooper went off, the Cowboys defense is terrible. So all those receivers are going to have big games. I think it's going to be hard to determine if it's going to be Gallup or Lamb as the receiver who blows up.
That's right, yeah.
Pretty sure Lamb scored multiple touchdowns on Sunday.
Dude, he's having a banger every year.
But Cooper is still number one, so he's going to produce. Robbie Anderson, 99 yards on 8 receptions. Again, I think he is the true number one in that Carolina offense in terms of receiving. But the Chubster goes down.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's why Evan got screwed in a game where the Browns put up 49 points.
Yeah.
Chubb only has 43 rushing yards and is injured. So not only does he have to deal with Aaron Jones on a bye, but Nick Chubb also on a bye. So if I was a betting man, I would bet Evan's going to be quite active tonight.
I would bet that too. I was looking at his lineup. Let's say it's bereft of some players. And Lamb had 23.7 to your point. So he had a big game as well. Yeah, we'll get into my kicker woes, but 3 from Prater on Detroit in a 29-point game. I had the Dallas kicker, of course, Zerling, with 38 points scored. So you really don't know what the kicker position.
Should we just hop to your matchup here?
You wanted to go for it? Fine.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking triggered.
There we are. Men's Zerling.
Yeah, I've never seen a closer matchup. I got this one wrong. You got this one wrong.
I chose you. You chose you.
Stu chose
but
me
Stu
too.
chose. Yeah, we all chose against Weave in this one.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to special teams for me. Really let me down. I did some tinkering, but 0.4 points difference really, but it would have got me the win, right? The 0.02 is it's a crapshoot, right? I didn't get to watch either of the games last night, so I was unaware of what was happening, and just for the occasional checks. I was stoked to see Kittle have such a great game. I really like his game. So 15 catches, 183 yards. That's so sick. Really balling out. We were going with the double tight end strategy, and it paying off. So that's good to see. Rodgers almost doing exactly what I needed against Ryan. 0.02 difference. The story for me is just shitty wide receiver play. Just a bad week for us, except for Fuller. Dog started a pretty solid lineup. Zeke got going near the end of that game to get him some points. Metcalf again looked unstoppable. I'm surprised he only had 4 catches, but he looked really strong in that game. Yeah, man, we had a hell of a matchup. It really came down to the wire, and I still am a huge fan of your team name as well, one of the best. So
yeah, this was a phenomenal game, right? And we all had all eyes on it because you were going for the East Wing trifecta,
Right.
and then Weaver protected our honor.
That's right.
When I look at this, I see a few things. One, Will Fuller for you.
Mm-hmm.
Big game, right? Like he is the guy there. Interesting to see if that offense will change at all now that Bill O'Brien is out and Romeo Crennel is the interim head coach.
Crennel. Right on.
Rogers, a great game for you. But yeah, your receivers, I think we talked about coming into this week that they're kind of a question mark, including Mr. Ward, who we paid a pretty penny for, and he did not produce as expected.
Yeah, no one really did except for Fuller. But I can't win unless Kamara scores 20 points. I think that's really the moral of the story.
But what I take away from Weaver's side, one, the 2 tight end thing only works because Kittle put up 32 points, right? But also Matt Ryan, only less than 13 points. This is back-to-back weeks of like shit play for him. Yeah. And this hurts me directly because I have Ridley and Hurst, right?
Yeah.
So I don't like this trend. Hopefully he can turn around against the Panthers next week. But if I'm Weaver, I'm concerned about my quarterback play.
Yeah, especially with none on the bench.
Yeah. So next matchup we'll check out is the Sacramento fantasy team. Interesting.
New change.
Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
So I chose Bako, you chose Bako, and Stu also chose Bako. 3 for 3 for the podcasters.
Bacon, third place fantasy team, 3-1.
Right. We were talking about him last week and how he's almost a surprise contender, but another strong week.
Also a very sickening matchup, 4-point win for Bacon. That's a cool one to watch. What stands out here? Thielen, again, making plays, 8 catches, 114. Lamb, great start by Scott. Him and Prescott together, that's nasty. That's like 61 points of production from 2 guys. Everyone else very mediocre, very weak and pathetic across the lineup, except for Hunt, who's now clearly going to be the guy in Cleveland. What happened to Chubb, by the way? Like, is he dead? What's going on? I don't know the injury.
He's going to be out like 4 to 6. He's not like dead, but he is not going to be usable for some time.
Yep. On Bacon's side, Hockencock is the guy I thought he was.
Hey, right? Touchdown and 2-point conversion.
Yeah, he's doing things. 2 catches for 9 yards, but he's doing stuff. Yeah. That's Bacon's kicker number 1 hanging in there. Robbie Gould, 2 points. It's a theme of the week, this 2 3-point kicker play. I think a lot of 2-point conversions attempted on Sunday.
This is just a solid week for Bacon's team. I mean, he's got double digits from almost all of his contributors.
The low score is 8 from the kicker. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, this is a good week. 15 from your quarterback is not great, especially against Jacksonville. So possibly we'll see TB12 in there after he threw 5 touchdowns on Sunday against the Clips.
Is he going on down here?
For Bacon. Oh. And then Scott's team, like you said, that Dallas stack is amazing. But beyond that, not looking good. Although Kareem Hunt, like you said, will now be the guy getting the boatload of the work.
He's got Booby Gibson on his bench. Gibson in Washington on the football team. 20 points on the bench. Brady, 32 on the bench. Did not matter.
What 5 touchdowns will do for you.
Yeah, against the clip joint.
But yeah, Bacon wins, and he moves to 3rd, like you said, where Scott's now 1-3 and dips to 11th.
Hanging out with Bowling Ball down there in the cellar.
All right, let's check out. Oh, this is actually a very interesting one that all 3 of us did not get correct.
Wow.
No one fucks like Gaston versus Gaston back alley coxed me. From
what?
That one's a mouthful. Basically, Diamond Bill is not as full of luster as we thought he was. Now, Bill also suffered from some injuries, most notably Austin Eckler, less than 2 points. Then he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. Kenyon Drake was banged up during that game, but on the whole, it's just really not been good.
No.
I mean, I was talking shit on Joe Mixon on the last podcast being maybe the worst first-round pick, but it might be Drake.
Was Drake first-round pick?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, who else would
it be?
Yeah, it was Drake. So
someone stat check us later. But what stands out to me, Bill you got the wrong San Fran running back, Buckaroo. I got both of the ones you want. All right.
That guy was dropped today.
Good. O'Malley, good for you, man. Off the 0-3 start, and you win the money. Love to see it. Drake confirmed first round pick. by Bill.
Taken before Michael Thomas, Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, and Aaron Jones. Those are the next 4 picks.
Okay.
Thomas, Jacobs, Chubb, Jones.
What I'm seeing jump out to me here is Dalvin Cook on Minnesota. Another great week. I did watch the game. We watched that Minnesota-Houston game. He looks so good. He's a stud. There's no doubt about it, as long as he can stay healthy. Odell finally doing Odell stuff. 73 rushing yards. I think he had a receiving
Yeah. This was a
touchdown,
very
too.
strange stat line for Odell. He
Look at
caught
this.
a touchdown pass from Jarvis Landry,
Yeah.
and then he ran for a long touchdown.
Man, that's cool.
So, yeah, I mean, this is obviously an amazing week for Odell, but I think it's going to be kind of an outlier.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to have 2 touchdowns in his games, much less a 40-yard plus rushing touchdown.
O'Malley's bench, solid too. I actually do like Crowder. I've always liked him since he was in Washington. I think he's a pretty solid player, 14 points. But you got to be happy with the production, right? Gage in Atlanta just shit the bed, I think. I don't know what was going on.
They really did.
The Packers are 4-0 and looking pretty good. So we'll see how their season progresses. But, yeah, across the board, pretty solid. Denver D gives a lot of points, 6 sacks, no other stats. That's pretty wild. They don't see that very often.
And then Baltimore only putting up 6 against the football team.
Yeah, you would think that'd be higher. Sure.
And then one thing about Bill's bench, Latavius Murray putting up 20. It seems like
he's pretty heavily involved.
the Saints are using him a lot, although this is his biggest game by far. So, I mean, obviously this is just a bench backup stash for Bill, so you can't really predict those blowups.
They play the
but
Clippers next week on Monday night.
I mean, he's gotten double-digit carries in 3 out of the last 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, O'Malley takes this one, gets his first win of the year. Congratulations.
And get some cash.
Vaults from 12th to 10th. So, congrats to No One Fucks Like Gaston.
We got one more here.
Next matchup, we got the Goodmeister and Max. I picked Max, you picked Stu, and Stu picked Stu. So tell me what went right for old Stu.
Yeah, the Shark Man, right? DJ Shark. We were watching that game too, and he seemed to be everywhere, right? 8 catches, 2 touchdowns. He was making plays. Carson looked like a fucking stud in that game. I don't know who's going to actually beat Seattle. I think it might be Seattle Green Bay again for the NFC Championship. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Solid play. Hopefully Watson gets unleashed going forward. Hilaire kind of came back down to earth. I'm curious as to how he's been doing, actually. After the first game, we all kind of fell in love. And he's been okay since then, right? 10, 15.9, 10.6. So,
especially in a game where the Chiefs were in control the entire time, you'd hope that he would get some more play.
Only 64 rushing yards. Scary Terry had a good game for Max. I like Scary Terry a lot. Kevin's, he gets hurt every game, but he's just making plays over and over again. And then the homie Blankenship in Indy, I don't even know who that is. 14 points out of the kicker. I would have loved that this week.
I mean, not as good as Fat Kicker on the Bengals, but
yeah, fat guy. Fat guy. Quarterbacks score exactly the same, 20.9. So that's a fun little tidbit.
That's fun. Yeah, so Stu gets the win.
A great matchup again, 132 to 125. Solid all around. I feel for Stu in Atlanta with Hill, only 3.3. I thought he was going to have a bigger game myself as well.
Yeah, that was something I was kind of stirring the pot a little bit about Stu, saying who he should start, whether it be Hill or Burkhead. Burkhead slightly gets the point edge here by 2.2. But
it's the most classic New England thing, right? Burkhead gets like 35, and then he gets, 5 points the next game? Bill Belichick forgets he exists kind of deal.
That's well, I mean, classic. They were pretty screwed because Cam was out anyway.
Whoa, Cam.
But, Stu, I would also have picked Brian Hill if I was juggling between the two.
Because what about Alexander Mattison? My name is Alexander Mattison.
He stole one from Cook. Otherwise, Bro Malley's week could have been even more robust.
Yeah.
So rough loss for Max, but that's a lot of points. I mean, 1-3 at 9th, but, he'll bounce back. Well, actually, a funny thing about Max is that he continually gets shat on by everyone. He's like fantasy cursed.
Yeah. Yeah, he's getting just absolutely obliterated in points against. I was going to say your points for is quite weak and pathetic compared to mine, but your points against is I probably would be 1-3 as well if people would score that many against me. I'm not exactly sure. So
yes, was that all of them?
I think so. We'll get to the picks for this week very soon.
So Gall goes 2-4. I'm 12-12 overall. Brad also went 2-4, and then Stu still wins the week. Second consecutive week, he went 3-3.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to some fun facts. So projected points, again, I'm keeping track every week. This week we did much better, more higher scoring all around. 7 of the 12 of us reached our projections. Bacon, myself, Max, O'Malley, Pebs, Scott, and Stu. However, Max and Scott both took the L while reaching their projections. We hate to see that. And then Weaver, congrats, you won without meeting your projection.
I'm still hoping for the stat correction. Yeah.
Because Weaver went 2 weeks in a row with exceeding his expectation and then losing.
Yeah, that's
so now he didn't meet it and then won.
Fantasy 101, baby.
I actually want to throw in my thoughts on the Stu and the man-child discussion. So Stu mentioned that he hates the phrase man-child on one of his podcasts previously. Mm-hmm. But I think he literally is the only person in our league that uses it and continues to use it.
I think that's a pretty common theme with Stu, where he gets triggered by some slang or by something that someone says, and we're like, who's saying this around you, bro? I'm not saying that.
Yes, because all of us use slang that's universally used, like sickening and firing.
Well, Stu is a firing guy. I think we can all agree on that, for sure.
Last fun fact, and this is a shout out to Bro Malley. He put this out in our group meet today, is that Bill would have been 0-3 with O'Malley's schedule. So 0-4, including his game against O'Malley. So very interesting that Diamond Bill, he wrote into the podcast a few weeks ago asking for some more respect.
Yeah.
Because we kept picking against him. And turns out that Bro Malley, the one we keep shitting on, has actually had a much better fantasy point season than Bill has.
That is a wild stat.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Cole Bill is here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said in the group. Cole Bill?
Generic rock Bill is here.
So things you hate to love to see, moving on. We touched on this earlier. High-profile trade goes through, and then all traded players struggle. I talked to a few people after the trade, and the sentiment that I received was that I had won that trade.
Including from me.
Not by the points scored in this last week. DJ Moore scored 6.9, which is the most out of all of them. Like, I think you combine the two players that I've received, and they did not equal what DJ Moore did. But then everyone struggled. So this will be something that we'll have to recheck in on next week. And obviously, Adam and I are hoping for better days ahead.
I didn't know you had the chance to get Gordon instead of Henderdog. That was a possibility. See, I think Gordon's a better player, but Denver does kind of suck. I totally
agree. If Drew Lock was uninjured
they got
quarterback, then I would.
They got Sibian Machine or something.
They have fucking Ripien.
Ripien.
What's after like that? What's his name? Driscoll or something? I don't know. They're fucking god awful, and I can't believe they are. That shows you how bad the Jets are.
Yeah, they made the Broncos look like a high-profile offense.
But yes, Melvin Gordon is super talented, but they're going to be without Drew Lock for a few more weeks, and they're not going to play the Jets every week, so I didn't feel comfortable taking on Melvin.
Right.
I immediately regretted it, obviously.
Of course.
What else? Oh, so O'Malley, I love to see your protein powder shelf and all the different ingredients and concoctions you can make, but you didn't mix a little one in a toilet bowl.
Oh, you want a little
I think I speak for everyone when I say I want to see a mini protein shake taken out of the toilet bowl.
First of all, that's not going to do anything for gains. O'Malley, you keep doing you. I think you need a leader. You need a lot going on. He's a big boy.
Why don't you take 100 toilet bowl shots then?
Second of all, I couldn't agree more. Put some protein in there. Get a little spoon, like one of those grapefruit spoons. Maybe a cocktail, one of the long ones, right? Put a little creatine in there too. Get fancy and and do a little shot. It was cool to see that Jameson.
The coffee one. I was going to say that.
I also do want that.
Really nice.
That was a firing snap for sure.
And then last thing that you hate to love to see. you hate it if it's on your team, but you'll love to see it if you're playing against this. Is your opponent's bench going off?
Yeah, that's always
We talked about Latavius Murray, 2 touchdowns and 20+ points. Same matchup. Mecole Hardman goes off for O'Malley. We've talked about Mecole before on this pod. Super boomer bust guy where it's impossible to trust.
Right.
You hate to love to see it.
Mecole.
So that moves us into our bets section. Now, this is when I'm going to pause and put out a request for the rest of the league. As we are this is like the 5th or 6th podcast we've done for the People's Pod this season. And the more I do this bets section and the more I talk about myself and myself only doing bets, the more I wish that
you're a degenerate gambler.
We all know it. Wish my friends would throw around these bets. We're playing each other every week. Adam and I at one of our bets, we bet on our matchup. Straight up matchup 6-pack, which, by the way, I look forward to receiving at some point, Adam. Thank you very much. But I know you all are talking to each other. Maybe not Scott, but the rest of you are all talking to each other.
Someone's talking.
Let's bet some shit. I'm still waiting on a water bucket when Weaver gets back on me, okay? And I still have to sweep the back patio.
You didn't sweep it today? Get back there.
Okay. But anyway, let's hear some more bets, huh? So Adam and I bet on our trade straight up for Moore and Henderson Sunday. Moore, again, eked it out, so I took that shot I set in the group me. We also bet on their positional rankings, week 4 onwards. Now, they both look pretty dog shit on Sunday, so we'll see what happens. But that bet is happening. And I think that was a whiskey bottle, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But a Chicken Ranch bet update. So we were making fun of Stu for the past 3 weeks because Cole Bill was in the lead. All of a sudden, Cole Bill has a disastrous week filled with injuries. Stu unexpectedly wins his matchup because Chris Carson played. Mm-hmm. And now Stu took the points lead on Bill. So if the season ended today, Bill now would be the one applying to the Chicken Ranch.
Wow, I wonder who actually has the better chance of getting the job.
Oh, better chance of getting the job? Interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a completely different discussion.
They both have to apply.
Wow, I think Bill does.
I think Bill does too. Stu would be a little too surly.
Yes, Stu is not a people person. That's why when Stu and I go out, I do the talking to strangers.
But Stu's so handsome and aforementioned a firing guy. I can't get enough of him. I lived with him for at least a year. Yeah, I don't know. That's it. I'll have to.
Why don't you write us an email at People's Pod? Who do you think would be a more employee. Successful Chicken Ranch employee?
Right. Maybe one gets a job at the Fairview location. The other gets one on the De La Vina location. We compare employee score.
And then the last bet that we can touch on is Weaver and I made a bet on the Dodgers-Padres NLDS series that starts in about 40 minutes. This one is a little different, though. Weaver and I spoke on Friday after the Padres clinched, which we'll get into in a second, and he suggested that the winner, so the person whose team wins, cooks the loser a nice dinner.
Oh. The winner cooks the loser because they'll be all proud.
And it's like, consoling them.
That sounds nice.
So that bet's out there on the table for you all to know, and we'll know the winner by next week's podcast, and that actually rolls right up into our next section.
Right. We're back to baseball touchdown. 4 games today in Major League playoffs. First one, Atlanta beats the Marlins 9-5. I'm curious how that one's going to end up. Of course, the winner goes to the NLCS from that one. A's Astros at Dodgers Stadium. Houston wins again, even with the A's in those firing green jerseys.
I love the Kelly green jerseys.
Yeah, they look fantastic. I'm super triggered about that, right? Like, the Astros cheat, win the World Series. The commissioner somehow backs him up, says the trophy's a piece of metal, whatever. Astros then play this victim card approach, which I fucking hate. we're just trying our best, and like anyone that doesn't like it can like suck it kind of thing. Then this year, of
all these
course,
teams are so mean to us.
right? Then of course this year, right? They can play with no fans, so there's no concern about getting like berated while you play.
I was so looking forward. I know
We
you were
all
too,
looking
to see
forward to
all
it.
the
Yeah,
reception
dude.
by
And
the
they were going to
fans.
play it at the Dodgers this year if the regular. Oh man! And then of course now you can't hit him after the Joe Kelly incident, who immediately made him everyone's favorite player in at least the state of California. So you can't hit him, you can't boo him. They still feel like they're the victim, and they're up 2-0 on my fucking A's. It's so triggering. I don't understand what's going on. It is kind of cool that like these American League series are playing at Dodger Stadium and at Petco. Tampa Bay and New York are playing right now. I watched the highlights from the game yesterday. Yankees started just mashed. There was like 6 home runs in the game.
Stanton hit a grand slam.
Yeah, in the top of the 8th or top of the 9th. So I'm curious how that one will go. Petco's going to host the ALCS too, which is exciting. And we got Pods Dodgers in about 30 minutes. Last week, Collin and I were watching. Update. Rays are winning 3-1 the bottom of the second, which is good to see. The Rays crushed the Yankees in the season series too. I think they won 8-2 out of the 10 games they played. So you would think the Rays would have the upper hand. I can't name anybody on their team, by the way, except for Snell.
Well, you got Hunter Renfroe.
Right, and
You got
Manny
Margot.
Yeah, I can't name 2 players. But yeah, so anyway, last Thursday we're watching the game. I went to get a flu shot because my doc told me to, and I thought that's a good idea. I also got STD tested, negative.
Hell yeah.
Which is firing. So I was getting these tests, right? And the Pod's already losing like 4-0 again. Like 2 days in a row, we're down 4-0.
Starters just fucking it up.
Buckaroo Gall's here freaking out, right? I'm trying to rush home. The CBS doesn't have the shot. I have to go to everyone. It's a whole thing. I got to fill out this form. The form resets. Anyway, I get it done. I come home. We're watching. Hope is low, right? Then Tatis comes up.
Cardinals are up 6-2.
Right, 6-2. Tatis comes up, super locked in. The announcers are saying absolute nonsense. They're talking like, the Pods, they look pretty lethargic.
Sutcliffe and those other 2 announcers were dog shit the entire series.
It's like they haven't even watched any of the games, which I'm sure they haven't because they don't give a fuck. Tatis comes up, 3-run jack. Collin and I freak the fuck out. Manny has his 8-pitch at bat the next. He goes deep, 6-6. We're fired up. We're jumping around. Will, next inning, hits a fucking home run. So literally me and Collin's like the guys we talk about the most all go yachts 3 times in a row in the span of like 1 inning and a half. Oh, man. They're so juiced. Another home run for Tatis. Another homer for Will. Tight butthole in the 9th. Still get it done. Go to game 3. Pods actually finally look like actually a good team, win 4-0. Very, very fucking awesome. So now here we are, 35 minutes until first pitch. Clevenger gets the start on the hill for San Diego. And then, of course, Buehler for the Dodgers, who's looked quite good except for the blister. I'm curious how Clevenger's going to pitch, right? He hasn't pitched in like 3 weeks or so. Yeah, apparently, all signs are he had a great bullpen session over the weekend, but I'm definitely nervous for him to get the bump, for sure.
Yeah, my thoughts on that are, one, the last series we played the Dodgers, Clevenger did not pitch. They catch him out on purpose, I think, for that little edge, whatever that may be. Clevenger being on the Indians before Dodger hitters.
He's never played him. He's never faced the Dodgers.
Also, our starters in the last series got shelled.
Both
brutal. Paddock and Davies. Davies, who's our boy, both of them give up 4 runs in less than 2 1/3 innings, right?
Bad.
So, literally cannot do worse than that.
Right. Well, we'll see. On the Dodgers side, their lineup I was looking at, they are so stacked, right? Like Mookie Betts is one of my favorite players for sure. I like Chris Taylor a lot. He's batting 9th, right? So it's Taylor, Betts, and then Seager. Like that's going to be a nightmare to deal with every time around the order. Bellinger's batting deep. This guy Will Smith's batting 5th. Like there's really not nothing you can do. I mean, we'll see how it goes, right? So we're going to be watching. Kurt's going to be watching over here. The U's going to be fired up or extremely depressed. But that's the end of the baseball touchdown segment.
Right. I mean, same as things we said last week. If the Padres win, you'll hear about it, and if they lose, you'll hear about it next week.
Also, one last quick corollary: 5 games in a row for all this series. Kind of interesting. You don't really get that in the playoffs, so I'm curious how that's going to play out. 5 games in a row, same site every time. So.
Right. Especially the Padres used 8 relievers in all 3 games against the Cardinals, which is not sustainable in a 5-game series.
Absolutely not.
Anyway, next segment. Group me likes. So this week I decided to allow the 7 likes back in because on the whole there were not many 8 like comments. I don't know if we were just shittier this week or if people weren't as locked in. I watched the morning games and then was pretty checked out for the afternoon, and I didn't see any of the Eagles-Niners later on either. But going back, so there was that thing came out that Aaron Rodgers sometimes would pretend to not hear the plays,
right,
and then just do whatever he wanted. And then O'Malley commented that he's pretending not to have his eyes checked because he's dating Danica Patrick.
Yeah.
That got 8 likes. Oh, dating Danica Patrick instead of Olivia Munn, which, yes, I think we all can agree Olivia Munn is quite the specimen, and I would encourage all of you to Google research the love letter she sent to Chris Pine. It is quite graphic.
H?
Yes, very H. So 8 likes. Dude, look at it. It's worth the read.
Read it alone, perhaps.
So 8 likes from O'Malley on that one. Then Stu puts the no one fucks like Gaston in the group me. Everyone loves it. 7 likes.
Yeah.
You're all very welcome. So Pebbles put a gif of Jack Sparrow sinking as the text says, I regret nothing. And this was in reference to Bill O'Brien, who was let go by the Texans about time. Coach and GM. It was pretty funny. I saw a tweet that was like, oh, does he get to retain his play calling?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
like the last week he like, oh, and now Bill O'Brien's going to take over play calling too. So he like lost his coaching job, lost his GMing job, but can he still play? Probably not.
Gotta go.
Weaver commenting on my Bengals. This is after, Adam was lamenting the giant lead that I had amassed. Weaver says, more importantly, he had 3 Bengals combined for 69 points.
Nice.
And those 3 Bengals would be Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, return of Joe Mixon, and Fat Kicker, 17 points.
Fat Kicker.
Yeah.
Sneaky
It's
good.
actually pretty funny. So I'm like, Saturday morning, I need to pick up a kicker. Pebbles also needs to pick up a kicker. I go to pick up Joey Sly because he had 5 field goals the last game. Literally, I'm on the toilet about to pick him up, and then Pebbles picks him up, in that moment.
Wow.
So then
some of all fears.
So then, yeah, I'm like, oh my god, these fucking kickers. And so I picked Bullock because the Bengals are playing. Who the fuck are they playing?
That's his name.
Yeah.
I just call him Fat Kicker.
I pick up Fat Kicker as we'll fucking see what happens.
Yeah,
I'm already watching the Bengals. And then Joey Sly puts up 7 points. Fat Kicker puts up 17 points. So thank you, Pebbles. And yeah, 69 points out of the Bengals. Next one, Adam posted a gif of Jafar rolling out a long scroll and it unravels. And that is Stu explaining the things that trigger him and ranking them.
That's my favorite one on the list. It's just like Man-Child. Right? That thing triggers me so much. Okay.
8 likes for Adam on that one.
That was good.
Okay, so here's something that I kind of take umbrage with. Yesterday, I posted that Devontae Adams was not going to play. When I posted it, it was news to me, and I thought it would be news to the rest of the league.
Yes. You did us a favor.
Right, but Adam posted something snarky, and then Weaver posted, my name is Aaron Weaver. It was known, no duh information.
Weaver's a known shit talker on Frisbee touchdown. That's
so
what he's there for.
7 likes for that one.
Don't let him get in your head, Buckaroo.
Not one by me, though. That's
all right. It's all right.
Buckaroo. My favorite one is when Evan posted, roster alert, Nick Chubb is listed as out and in your starting lineup. Fuck you, Yahoo. Right after Chubb gets hurt. That got 7 likes. That also got me thinking about Scott and the Julio situation. So if Evan is getting an alert that someone is out and is in his starting lineup, potentially Scott could also receive these alerts.
I assume he has notifications off.
Probably. But it's either you have notifications off and you check it, or you have notifications on and you don't check it.
That assumes that you care about fantasy football, which he said he does not.
That's true. Maybe I'm thinking too much. Anyway, 7 likes for Evan. That was pretty fucking funny.
That was funny. All right, well, now for our favorite part of this segment. Are you guys ever eating a tasty barbecue meal and you get mac and cheese in your own hair because it's hanging in front of your face. Perhaps you're driving with the windows down and your hair blows into your eyes repeatedly and you can't get it out. Or maybe, perhaps, your girl is complaining as she's going down on you that her hair keeps getting in her face.
You're not complaining.
No, I'm not complaining. It's even better when she stops and puts this object on. I'm talking about hair ties, particularly the one Scunci, SCUNCI, knotted ponytailers, available again, CVS, Walgreens, Dwayne Reed, again for the East Coast fans. Yes. Hair ties can be very can keep hair out of your own mouth. Really, really useful product. I use them nearly daily. So I encourage you all to pick up some Scunci. I'm not even sure how to say it. I think it's Scunci.
Sounds
hair
right
tires. Yeah.
Great sponsor. Again, that one narrowly beat out 5 Hour Energy. So that one we may have.
Scunci gave me $15,000. Oh, should I?
Anyway, when I think about driving with the windows down, I think about driving down Cabrillo and Take These Broken Wings.
Take these broken wings. Oh, God, what a great
song. And then to fly again. Anyway, great sponsorship. They're flying in. Next, we are now to the portion of where I check my work, the waiver wire hints. So last week, going over the 3 wide receivers. Excuse me. First one, Greg Ward, which was purchased uncontested by Brad for $21 fab dollars.
God. So I had a pick in. I was going to pick up, who was it? I think it was actually homie on the Raiders, our boy Renfro. NCAA championship winning Renfro. Then I do the pod, and I hear about this Greg Ward guy who I had no idea. I didn't know anything about him. Firing line, 8 for 11. I'm like, okay, I'll pick him up. He still does, 7 targets, 4 catches, 5.8 points. Not good. The $21 uncontested, yeah, it's tough.
So that was a miss for sure, which is crazy because they were so injury riddled. And they still got the W against the Niners.
I'll probably still start him.
Yep. Next, T. Higgins on Cincinnati. He playing Jacksonville. That's who the Bengals are playing, Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. He was very involved. 4 of 7, 77 yards. That's 11 points. He had scored 2 touchdowns the week previous. And Burrows definitely has some chemistry with this guy. So I see his arrow pointing up. Then finally, James Washington on Pittsburgh. I recommended him playing because Johnson was concussed, the other wide receiver, but the game didn't happen, and now Johnson is back to healthy. So kind of moot point there. Mm-hmm. 3 guys I'm looking at for this week that I will not be making moves on, but those early listeners and potentially co-hosts to spend $21 more uncontested.
Maybe 31 this time.
First one, Tim Patrick on Denver. I know they were playing the Jets, but they got a bunch of rookie wide receivers running around. He goes 6 for 7, 113 yards, and a touchdown. They're playing New England next week, so they'll probably be down, probably be slanging it. Mm-hmm. Tim Patrick, look out for him. Next, Robert Tonyan, the Green Bay tight end, who absolutely destroyed last night. 6 for 6, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ridiculous stat line, obviously unsustainable.
Couldn't have got 99 yards? Huh? Fuck.
And Pebbles, of course, said that they're playing the Falcons' shitty defense, so not to read too much into it. And the Packers are going on a bye, so you won't be able to use this guy this upcoming week.
Right.
But Rodgers is having a great year. Seems like he has great chemistry with Tonyan. They're also very injured. Adams has been out.
The
lizard man.
Yeah.
He's basking in the sun, but
knocked
not
out.
on the gridiron.
He's got to grow the tail
That's
back.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. So Rodgers is spreading the ball around, and Tonyan will see some more targets. Finally, Prison Mike on the Clippers. He did not play this past game, but Herbert is slanging it. He threw 2 touchdowns of over 40 yards. I actually looked it up. That was the only catch for those 2 guys. They were both 1 for 1 with like 53 yards receiving and a touchdown. He pushes the pace. Chargers are playing the Saints. It'll be a competitive game, but I imagine the Chargers will lose, so they'll be down.
It's the Clipper way.
Yeah, this is the way.
So interesting about Herbert. I went on site to meet a client today at their warehouse in Santa Paula. And these warehouse guys, they're pretty rough and tough guys, right? Kind of a don't tread on me crowd, right? We're all wearing hard hats. This guy's got a hard hat on. He's got the bolts, lightning bolts on his hard hat. And the first thing I say to him, I'm trying to keep it light. I'm like, are those San Diego bolts or are those L.A. bolts? And he's like, L.A. They were there first. So I was like, interesting.
Oh my god!
I play it cool, right? I'm there, like I'm meeting a prospect. I'm like right on, right? But in my mind, I'm like, holy shit! I've never heard this before in my entire life. Some guy likes the Chargers more that they're in LA because they were there originally, and he's an LA guy. So I'm like, 20 minutes go by. We're walking around the warehouse. We're talking software, right? I come back around to him. I'm like, hey man, you see Herbert this last weekend? His eyes light up. He's like, dude, he's got a cannon. I'm like, yes, he's got a fucking cannon. So me and this dude bond over Herbert now. The LAC I can't really speak for, but it was of note to see a guy be excited in the Chargers and the fact that they're the LAC, not just straight SD. So that was an interesting start to an on-site visit.
That story shows a lot of restraint by you. Had I been in your position, I don't think I would have been as well. I mean, I would have been, my classic golf self, but I think I definitely would have mentioned that how bummed I was.
Well, you're in front of a bunch of rough and tough warehouse. You got a mask on, so it's a little easier to kind of hide your true emotions. Yeah. So
are you squinting? Yeah. Is there dust flying around this factory?
Oh man, LAC suck.
But anyway, so to bring it all back, pickups of this week, that Gall is recommending Tim Patrick, Robert Tonyan, Mike Williams. So now we have reached the time that everyone is waiting for. Week 5 picks. Week 5 picks. So we'll start with my matchup. I am playing Dak Prescott. So obviously I'm taking myself. Scott's team is kind of struggling. I mean, he's dropped to 11th in the league. Julio is banged up and left the game again. Michael Thomas is questionable. Scantling is on a bye, and outside of his Cowboys, as we talked about, his team is generally, ho-humming. He does have Kareem Hunt, but they're playing the Indianapolis defense, which is a good squad. And to top it off, he's got Mark Ingram in that complete timeshare with Frodo Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
Right.
Whereas my team came off a big week. Josh Allen will remain in my lineup this time. I still put up over 130 with Ridley getting me a goose egg. That's not going to happen again. Right. Mixon seems to have found his stride, although he's playing Baltimore, so that'll be more of a slog. But I just have more confidence in my team. What do you think?
Yeah, so I also think your team is solid. I think Thomas plays this week, and he just slots right in where Scantling was. I actually had a lot of tough time picking this matchup. I picked you, then I picked Scott. Then before this podcast, I was going to edit it back to picking you. But then I was like, you know what, dude, just leave it. So I got Scott beating you, trying to, see how it goes. Now, as we're talking about it, I'm concerned that Scott just leaves Scantling in or some shit. Right? Like, I don't fucking know what he's going to do from a managerial standpoint. But I actually think, Kareem Hunt's going to get the ball a lot. Right, he's got Gibson on his bench who had a pretty good game. You might put him in, right? I don't know, but I like his players. I was cautious about Cincinnati playing Baltimore. I don't think that's a good game script, and you got 3 Bengals. So that gave me pause as well. But Ridley could just go back to being a baller and score 30 points. So it's really quite the crapshoot for me.
Right. Yeah, I can see the logic here. Displaying again, Indy has a tough defense, so I think Hunt is not going to really go off. And I agree, the Ravens are good defense, but the football team just put up 17 against them, and they're not that good.
Yeah, it's
and
really
my squad put up 130 plus with Ridley giving me 0, Henderson giving me 4.2, and Sanders giving me less than 10.
I reserve the right to change my choice at 9:45
a.m. No. Your pick is locked in. You've said it on the podcast. It's in. That's how this works.
Okay. Fine. I'm going down with the Dak Prescott
That's
shit.
right. Okay. Good. So next matchup, we got P.B. Lee versus Cole Bill. So I'm taking Pebbles, but you're taking Bill. What has you on Bill's side after his very lackluster week?
Well, I think we all know about the Peebly-Bill matchup. He's historically had a great fantasy defense. I think that Bill has a solid receiver crew. And as we talked about earlier, Lamb had a great game. So it not only makes sense now for Gallup to have the good game, and Diggs and Lockett are both very solid along with Jackson playing Cincinnati. I think that's going to be a 30-point game for him. The running backs do leave me scratching my head, shaking my head, both.
Scratching and shaking.
Scratching and shaking, right? I don't know who the hell S. Miller on Tampa Bay is still. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, I got Diamond Bill, but it's close, right? Like, what the projected is 123 to 122. Okay, also shout out to Yahoo. Me and Weaver were 50-50 going into the game, into Sunday morning.
Yep.
And it's 0.02 difference. They don't always get it right, and then sometimes it's right. So who knows, right? But this should be a good matchup to watch. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I took Pebbles because of Bill's running backs. The situation is so up in the air.
It's dire for sure.
And yeah, I agree. Lockett and Diggs are phenomenal. Gallup is playing the Giants for Bill, so he could definitely have some points. But yeah, I'm just more comfortable with Pebbles' team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's tough to bet on someone after they put up 75 points.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's exactly right. But we all know how fantasy's a fickle.
It's very true.
Mistress.
It's very true. And the last time podcasters on this pod picked against Bill, he went off and then wrote us a very nice but inquiring letter as to why.
Perhaps a terse letter may be forthcoming.
Has that hoodie made it to you, by the way? Let us know. Anyway, so I got Pebs. Brad's got Bill. Next matchup we're going to is going to be Thick Bacon, of course. And his
Bacon
matchup is We Demand a Chubbery. So currently, Evan has an empty slot where the Chubster was.
He's got 3
his
empty
kicker
slot.
is empty, and his defense is empty. Evan is in a world of hurt right now.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot.
Both you and I picked Bacon over Evan.
Yeah, too many question marks for me for Evsky. I mean, like I want to like Slayton. He's always all over the place, right? The only really position I'm comfortable with is Cooper and Mahomes. Everyone else is kind of up in the air, right? Bacon, Joe Burrow looks like the real deal, man. He's got a cannon, you know. Sanders continues to make cool plays. Thielen's good. Obviously, Jay Tucker is going to be good for some points. I don't know about 12, but we'll see.
That's such a high kicker projection.
I know. And Henry continues to, run amok. The fact that you're fielding a full lineup when I looked at this really helps your case because it's 121 to 98. I'm sure that will change, but Chubb going down's tough, and Jones on the bye. Both of those were really key for me.
Yeah, Evans in a dire spot right now. Not only does he have the injuries, but the buys. I mean, he literally has 3 spots currently empty in his roster. He could slot in Edelman is there. Traquan Smith, who had a big game. And they're playing the Clips. The Saints are. So Evans got some options, but he's going to be pretty active on the wire.
Now, wait a minute. Bacon's heart and soul of his team, Hockencock, is on a bye as well. So we'll see how the rest of his team responds. Could be a morale dumper.
The one thing I will say that Evan has going for him outside of Mahomes and Cooper is that Ronald Jones, Tampa Bay running back, had a big game against the Clippers. 20 attempts, 111 yards, and a few catches. And Fournette is injured. Fournette is probably not going to play on Thursday, so Jones will have a similar workload. So there's some silver lining, but we both had Bacon taking this one.
For sure.
And continuing his ascension.
Yes.
All right, so we got Max and Bro Malley, which is a fun one. I'm taking Max, and you're taking No One Fucks Like Gaston.
Gotta stay with my protein bro.
The pro bro?
The pro bros.
That pro bro? The
protein bros. The battle for 2 and 3 or 1 and 4 here.
So Max has the Bush lead right now. What makes you go with O'Malley?
Well, the fact that you picked Max made me go with O'Malley. But that being said,
this is why these picks should be secret.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, he's got Butker barely newer. I think we can all get behind that. The fact that Stafford is on a bye is tough for him. He's got Tannehill slotted in right now. I mean, Max projected looks pretty solid, right? I don't know what's his Q with Kevin's. Did not participate in practice and the Thursday night game. We'll see. We would expect all three to be out there. Okay, so he's projected to play, but yeah, that is concerning. O'Malley's got a pretty solid team, though, too. Homie Dalvin Cook, man, I really am digging his game. We'll see if Beckham can repeat, but, Hopkins is always going to be good, especially at the Jets. Like that's
a big game.
Yeah, that's going to be a big game.
Yeah, I like Max. I think the Chiefs are going to have a better time against the Raiders than they did against the Patriots. The one thing I do like about O'Malley's team, kind of unheralded person, is Jefferson on Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. J. Jonah Jameson.
Rookie receiver is getting some play, right? So over 100 yards in 2 straight games.
Yeah.
That's a good wide receiver 3.
At Seattle, too. That's going to be solid.
I don't like Montgomery on Thursday against Tampa Bay. He's pretty underwhelming, and that's a good defense.
We'll see how that turns out. But O'Malley's finally going back to Crowder, which I like to see. He's got him in the slot right now.
He has his namesake on the bench, Gaskin, although they're playing the Niners, so I'm sure that's why.
I understand that.
But, yeah, I'm taking Max. I just think that the Chiefs are going to rebound in a big way. And not to mention, matchup. Mark Andrews is playing the Bengals.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that would be
And Russell, of course, is playing the Vikings. And the Vikings have a terrible defense. Yeah. So.
Yeah, man. Just talking about this with you, I'm regretting picks. Yeah. But they're locked in.
Well, look at that. Yeah, they're locked in. Okay, next. We didn't talk about Buckaroo Brad, did we?
Not yet.
Okay, so it's your matchup. What are you feeling?
I'm playing
I picked
Stewart.
You picked you.
Yeah, Stewart, a longtime rival of mine.
Before we go further, do you understand what this new name for Stu is?
Weekday teetotaler.
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 The teetotaler.
Weekday teetotaler.
Oh, because T. Higgins?
I don't understand. What does teetotaler mean?
What? Why is there a weekday?
Look, man,
too?
it's okay. This is no men's Zerling. All right, you got some work to do. You should workshop this.
Hey, you lost. Aren't you going to change that name?
I probably should. I don't know. Like
Zerling, and Zerling at 2 points.
And Yahoo has the audacity to say he's going to get 10.4 points. Give me a fucking break, dude. Look at this dude's fucking numbers. He got 2 points last week. If he kicks one more PATA, a win. He's very, very, very weak and pathetic.
In a game, they put up almost 40 points.
I know, dude. I know. It's so brutal. Okay, so I got to start Cousins because homie Rodgers is on the bye, right? So that's tough. I picked him up. I dropped Philly Riv because they're playing Seattle. I got Fuller and Kamara locked and loaded. Everyone else and Kelsey, right? But everyone else we'll see. I do have New England playing Denver, who's been very mediocre. Stu has the kicker on the bye, but everyone else looks pretty solid. Curious if he's going to keep Hill in for Atlanta.
Let's see what options he's got.
Alexander Matheson.
Samuel. Yeah, it doesn't have great options on the bench. Although Denver doesn't have that much of a defense either to just put up almost 30 on them. So Burkhead could find his way back in that lineup.
I do like the Arizona defense at the Jets. I think that's going to be pretty solid. So, yeah, man, I mean, I think it's going to come down to receiver play again for me. I could always tinker myself right out of it or right into it. Who knows? I think I'm going to start Ward again. Got to go for it.
What's Mostert's deal right now?
Still got the old Q.
But
I mean, look at McKinnon. I haven't really missed much of a beat, right? It's been like high teens 2 weeks in a row with McKinnon.
Right. Yeah, no, I like your team. I think you're going to win. I don't have much faith in Hilton, but
12.1.
Kamara against the Chargers will do well. Dude. Kelsey will rebound again. Belichick is a great schemer. All those skill players didn't do that great. Actually, the Chiefs' defense was the biggest winner of them all.
Right.
Buckaroo Brown with Buckaroo Allen. Let's go off. Your kicker will probably get you more than 2 points.
I mean, as long as it's not 0, right? I'm just going to ride with it. I've learned over the years that the kicker is just, unless he's missing kicks, which like Trabajo Gonzalez or Jobber Carlson.
Jobber Carlson had a chance to be picked up by me on this past weekend, and I wouldn't do it.
That would have been a good call.
I wouldn't do it.
I won't do it.
I think, Stu has more question marks than you do, so I'm taking you in this one.
Right on. We'll see how it goes.
And then last but not least, we both are taking Weave Dog over Adam. Now, Adam just had a rough week, 90 points, although only played 9 players with Devontae Adams sitting. Right now, Weaver has a commanding Bush lead, and Adam actually has all 10 positions currently filled. Now, things can change before the weekend as waivers and whatnot will go through. But, Adam in 12th place coming off that rough loss. He's got to be hurting, especially acquiring DJ Moore and only getting 6.9 out of it. Now they're playing the Falcons, who have a terrible defense. Really, I think we're all hoping that that's just an offensive explosion. So all of our skill players in that game can get some more points than they did last week. Weaver's got Lindsey in the flex currently, though. Interesting.
Jumped out to me as well. We'll see how that
Lindsey
goes.
versus Gordon matchup, something to keep an eye on. Actually, that'd be something for a nice bet to be made, gentlemen.
Perhaps. But yeah, I love Weaver's wide receivers. I'm a big fan. We'll see if Ryan shits the bed again. Roethlisberger versus Philly over Fitzpatrick against SF. That's probably pretty smart. Or Santa Clara, sorry. He's got Judy in the lineup good. You're learning the Union Tribune, the San Diego Union Tribune is very high on Judy. So, that holds a lot of weight with me. He's been a solid performer. Not unbelievable, but he's getting the ball. Then your boy Gesicki for the tight end as well.
Dude, I like Gesicki. Niners, that's a tough draw, but you imagine the Dolphins will be down, so they'll be slinging it. I also like Judy. I tried really hard to get Judy from Adam in that trade. Really hard. Initially, we were going to do Henderson for Moore straight up, but I wanted a little bit of wide receiver insurance.
Right.
And so I really pushed for Judy, but Adam wouldn't budge. And then he had a good game.
Yeah,
so,
didn't start him, though. It's a classic, really.
Didn't start him. Good game. But, yeah, tough to go with Adam after the last week he had.
Yeah.
Although I will say I think some of his projections are kind of low. I mean, Judy only having less than 10, not that great. Interesting to see how Josh Jacobs does against Kansas City. So his first week was an absolute explosion, and since then it's been pretty pedestrian.
At Kansas City, that could be tough.
Yeah, if they're down, he's not the pass catching back there.
That's going to be a must-watch game on Sunday for us, though, for sure. Raiders at Kansas City. I'm definitely down to watch that at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. That's a good one.
And Weaver last week, of course, spoiled my attempt to rampage through the entire U. So,
the East Wing, yes.
I gotta pick him. Of course, pending stat correction.
Dude, Weaver gets the W last week without Smith-Schuster. He's back in the lineup playing Philly, who's another lackluster defense. And then Kittle went nuclear. And he's in there again. Looking healthy. So Weaver is taken by both of us. Let's see. We have
we differ on 3.
1, 2, 3?
Yeah, 3.
3. Okay. So last week you mentioned that we did not make a wager. I kind of want to make a wager on these picks this time.
Oh, yeah? What's the wager going to be, Buck? The front walk, perhaps?
The front walk. What?
Straight up on the pick?
What if we have, we can do picks.
Okay.
And let's have the loser has to water the winner's crop for an entire week.
Winner's got to water for an entire week.
The loser waters all of the crops for an entire week.
All the crops for an entire week. Deal, Buckaroo.
All right.
You heard it here first.
The bet is going down. Crop water bet.
Based on overall picks.
That's right.
Okay.
What happens if we push? Then we both shotgun a beer?
No, we water together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, great pod. We're going to get out of here to watch the Pods play the Dodgers.
Yep, just got the notification. It's time.
Shout out to Kurt for another great jingle. Although I feel targeted, I still appreciate it nonetheless.
Shout out to Hair Ties in general for, how's your father's and eating. So get those hair ties, fellas.
All right, y'all. Good luck to everybody except for Scotty No. And we'll talk to you next week.
See you guys.